Hey everyone, I'm back in the light that makes me look really ruddy again. So I just want to take a moment to say some words in defense of Harvey Weinberg. Now let me get this straight. I never even heard of Harvey Weinberg prior to all this press, okay, about his supposed infidelities, or it's alleged there was a New York Times article that had apparently found evidence that no less than 8 Hollywood, very famous Hollywood actresses had been sexually abused in any number of worse and worser ways by Harvey Weinberg, and that's what the press is saying, that he paid them off so they wouldn't press charges or talk about it. Paid them very handsomely. And so anyway, and what's more is supposedly the knowledge that this had been a joke around Hollywood for a very long time, and everyone had heard about it, and everyone sort of laughed it off, swept it under the rug. And of course now Harvey is just a picture book story of the fallen, how the mighty have fallen, so to speak. I mean, he's been drummed out of the Motion Picture Academy. His brother calls him depraved. He tried to get help from all the executives to support him, and none of them would, or the top executives in Hollywood. His wife has left him. And yeah, I mean, it couldn't be more Hollywood in some ways how terrible what has happened to him. I mean, it's just like almost Hollywood. And so you see, that's what I just want to come in here and say something, okay? I mean, according to another article, Harvey had only grossed, his last 3 films, and this is someone who brought us Sex, Lies, and Videotapes. I remember how my parents reacted to that when that came out. It was really phenomenal. I remember Pulp Fiction when that came out, and I personally, it was really phenomenal for me. That influences half of what I do here. And so what I'm trying to say is that, but his last 3 films, and I don't know what they were called, apparently none of them had grossed, one had only barely grossed 500,000 or something like that. So his pictures weren't really grossing money anymore. And the reason his pictures weren't really grossing the money anymore, and this is all coming into my conjecture, okay? This is my conjecture as a private citizen reading the news. I have no insight in Hollywood information, no inside track, I don't know anything. I didn't even know who he was. But what I've come to conjecture after just watching this incredible amount of coverage is that his films weren't grossing anymore because people become too stupid to really, Sex, Lies, and Videotapes required some discernment to appreciate, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a reality TV show. It wasn't your iPhone, Pulp Fiction, well, you had to be shockable in order to really appreciate the beauty of Pulp Fiction. And no one's shockable anymore, in part because of Pulp Fiction. So what I'm saying is that, you see, he no longer was making money. And so finally it became okay to hate him, and finally it became okay to say he's wrong, because, you see, if he hadn't been making money in the past, he never would have been tolerated, but because he stopped being able to make the money, which wasn't his fault, necessarily. It's just the times, right? So now he opened himself up, and, let's put this together, Donald Trump doesn't like Hollywood. Hollywood's been dissing on Donald Trump over and over again. What is Donald Trump if not a conservative? And what is the New York Times but not the most conservative publication in America? And it's on the East Coast. They don't give a frick about Hollywood on the East Coast. So an East Coast newspaper with heavily conservative ties suddenly breaks this story about a film mogul who's no longer as successful as he used to be. What a great way to shut up Hollywood by making them shoving the shit in their own face. With someone who didn't have the money anymore to really defend himself, because it's all about money. It's not that different really from the NFL football players in some ways, if you think about it. Divide the people against themselves. Now everyone, he's destroyed their integrity, and perhaps he should have, because he pointed out that in the end it was all about the money. Trump knows money, people. Trump knows money. He knows exactly how people tick when they're around money, which is one of the reasons why I'm here telling you to quit your jobs, because that's the only way you're going to escape him. So anyway, so he just set it up. Okay, and now Harvey's disgraced, even though it was just, everyone knew what he was doing, and he's been drummed out of the Motion Picture Association. I just want to ask you, Was he in the Motion Picture Association because he was a great stand-up guy? Or was he in the Motion Picture Association because he was a really talented producer? I mean, they don't just let nice guys into the Motion Picture Association, right? You have to be able to be good with motion pictures, right? So doesn't it seem kind of silly to kick out one of your best members because suddenly you decided you don't like how he lives after profiting from him for decades? That's not hypocritical. That's not trying to look good while he's stinking a piss now, is it? But I guess we can all take heart because no one would ever imagine even Steven Spielberg, for example, even knew what sex was. So at least he's safe.